and out of Toastmasters. This lady is our only DTM in our club. She will be presenting her speech today from the advanced manual, Humoursly Speaking Project 2, called Leave Them With a Smile. The objectives of the speech are to prepare a serious speech that opens and closes with humorous stories. Prepare the closing story that re-emphasizes the speech's main point. Deliver the story smoothly and effectively. The time is 5 to 7 minutes. The title of this speech is Worry is a Misplaced Thought. So, to speak to us today of Worry is a Misplaced Thought, Mary Anne Burrows.
George was pacing back and forth across his living room floor, wringing his hands, sweating and fretting and worrying. His wife, who had been in bed for hours already, comes stomping out the large gate and says, "George, what are you doing? It's the middle of the night." He says, "Oh, Martha, I owe Sam next door some money, and I promised I was going to pay him tomorrow, but I don't have the money." She stomps over to the window, flings it open, and starts yelling, "Sam! Sam! Sam, get up!" Finally the light comes on, the window opens, and Sam sticks his sleepy face out the window. "Martha, what are you yelling for?" "Sam, is it true that George owes you some money?" "Yeah." "And he promised to pay you tomorrow, right?" "Yeah." "Well, Sam, he hasn't got it, and you're not going to get it." She slams down the window, and she says, "George, you get to bed. Now Sam's going to be up all night." Fellow Toastmasters and welcome guests, how many of you worry? I think we all do. Some of us are a little better at it than others, but I think we all do. And there's so many things to worry about. We worry about our health. We worry about, will my car start? Will my boss like my project? Will my kids turn out okay? Will I lose that 10 pounds before the reunion? Most of us even worry when we're on vacation. In fact, some people worry more when they're on vacation. So what can we do about all this worry? One of my husband's favorite quotes is, "Worry is misplaced thought." Think about it. When you're worrying about something, you're not doing something about it. Psychologists suggest that we observe our worry patterns. Are you someone who worries in the morning every day? Or are you someone who worries before you go to bed at night? And then hone in on the specific things you worry about so that you get a clear picture of where you worry. And then step back and try to see if there's anything you can do differently in your life to alleviate some of that worry. Maybe you're someone who white knuckles it to work every single morning. Perhaps you might want to set your alarm 15 minutes earlier so that you're not worrying about getting to work on time. Or perhaps you're one of those people that you pull the covers back, climb into bed, and this big shadow of worry encompasses you and keeps you up all night. You might question, what do I do right before I go to bed at night? Do I watch the news or do I watch scary programming? And if you do, you might want to change the time that you do those things. Now, some of us worry about things like 9/11. Is that going to happen again in our country? Something that you don't have a lot of control over. Philip Gulley suggests that fear keeps us up all night, but faith is one good pillow. So perhaps you might want to shift your worry or fear to a faith higher than yourself and trust that somehow everything's going to work out okay. Now, some people make lists. Say, for instance, you have a job or a project that needs to be done, and all this stuff is jumbling around in your head, and it's not sugar plums that are dancing in there. But if you make a list of all the things that are required to accomplish that project, then that's tangible. You can can see it, and then you can begin to check off the items that have been accomplished, which makes you feel good as well. A fellow named Fred goes to, a woman named Sally is concerned that she'll have an intruder in her house. So every time she goes out late at night, when she comes home, she checks behind every door, under every single bed, and in every single closet. She does this for 30 years. One night, she comes home, she checks behind the doors, underneath the beds, and in every closet. She comes to the final closet, and there stood an intruder. She looks him in the eye, and she said, "Well, it's about time you showed up." Perhaps if she had gotten better locks on her doors or windows, or maybe a security system, that might have worked better. They say that worry is like being in a rocking chair. There's a lot of action going on, but you're not going anywhere. And most of you know that cute little song that Bobby Farron wrote a few years back called "Don't Worry, Be Happy." In everyone's life there are troubles, but when you worry, you make them double. Don't worry, be happy. Now you might laugh at that and think, well, what's that going to do about my worries? But think about it. If you're thinking about that song or singing that song, for those few moments, you're not giving thought to worry. So even that is rising the mood when you're experiencing that. Now there was a fellow named Fred who had this problem from the time he was a wee boy. He was terrified the boogeyman would be under his bed. So finally he decides, I'm an adult, it's time for me to get over this. So he goes to a psychologist, and he tells the psychologist the story about what's bothering him. The psychologist listens intently, and he says, "Fred, I think I can help you. Come and see me once a week for a year at only $185 a week, and I can help you." Fred leaves, but he never comes back. A few months later, they happen to encounter one another in a restaurant. The psychologist comes up to Fred and says, "Fred, how you doing with that problem?" He said, "Doc, there was a funny thing happened on the way home. I met a friend, and I told him what was going on in my life. He said, why don't you just cut off the bottom of the legs, and that way a boogeyman couldn't possibly stay under there. So I did it, and I haven't had a problem since." Fellow Toastmasters and welcome guests, find ways to control your worry so that your worry doesn't control you. And remember, worry is misplaced thought.
Dave, can we have a minute or two on the clock there?